I'm Larry the Cable Guy, back again for columstrophene. You know, I suffer from chronic halitosis. That's really bad breath. My breath is so bad, you can see it on Find My iPhone. So I asked my doctor about new columstrophene.
Columstrophene, halitosamine deodrazole, is proven effective in reducing chronic halitosis. Users saw a reduction in being treated like a leper after only 6 months of use. Do not take columstrophene if you're allergic to columstrophene. Of course, you have to start taking it first to find out if you're allergic to it. But don't take it. But do take it for a few doses, otherwise how would you know you're allergic? The only way you can find out you're allergic to something is to have that allergic reaction. But don't take it if you're allergic. But do. Sorry, the attorneys are making me say all of this. Ask your doctor if columstrophene is right for you, unless you're allergic, even though you'd have no way of knowing. Columstrophene.
You know what? I think I'll just pick up a pack of Big Red.
Exactly. How do you know you're allergic to something until you have that allergic reaction? I'm Mark Moseley. Welcome to the show. And I have to open the show with this because this is next level trolling from the vice president. Liz Warren tweets about the Israel peace deal.
For 2 excruciating years, I have called for the return of the hostages brutally kidnapped on October 7th and held in Gaza.
And then our MVP, Vance, retweets with the reply, the president told me he did this on Indigenous Peoples Day in honor of you. That is troll level Jedi. And then, okay, I'm going to praise him on one side of my mouth, but on the other side of my mouth, let me say something right off the jump about this Politico story, about the horrible language used by people in a private Young Republicans Telegram chat. This is disgusting. We have to understand that the left, the media, deals in all blank are blank propaganda. All Republicans are racist and homophobes and xenophobes and misogynist and any other stereotype they can perpetuate. And when you conduct yourself like this, when you use this kind of language, and look, I don't care that you're young and you're joking, you should know better. There's no excuse. Are you happy that you handed a huge propaganda gift to the left? Was that worth it? Police yourself. First of all, what's in your heart that you're using this kind of language? But secondly, don't say these kind of things and don't go along with or tolerate others that do. Call that crap out the second that you see it or read it. We have to do better. And yes, I'm parting company with the vice president when he points out that what Jay Jones said about wanting children to die is worse. No, they're both bad. But we know that the left holds us to a higher standard. They do. They always have. And so we have to hold ourselves to a higher standard because that's the political right's cross to bear in this country, and it always has been. We have to live in the reality that we've been given, that the media in this country is going to seize on anything like this and ride that pony until it collapses. And Gavin Newsom, of course, is out there. I mean, he's going full bore on this thing, posting things like, this is not fringe. No, it absolutely is. It absolutely is fringe. I don't talk like that. My friends don't talk like that. I don't. And look, this young generation, if an old guy like me knows better than to post stuff on the internet, then you Gen Z kids really ought to know. Apparently you don't. Apparently you're clueless. You just think that because it's a private chat and it's behind some layer of encryption that it's never going to get out. Well, that's ridiculous and absurd and stupid. We have to do better. And I suspect alcohol was involved at some point, somewhere. Beer, making stupid people even stupider since 7000 BC. All right, I feel a little bit better. Let's talk about No King's Day. Liberal influencer Joe Walsh says on X, No Kings on October 18 will be the largest peaceful protest in American history. Millions and millions and millions and millions of America organically taking to the streets to reaffirm this basic American ideal. No kings here, never. I mean, you know, the whole thing is based on a logical fallacy. I mean, this is what the left does. They start with a proposition, and then they run with it, and then they just keep reinforcing it. You know, no kings. Of course, no. There isn't anybody on the right that wants a king either. J.D. Vance is on deck. I am perfectly fine, and everybody that I know is perfectly fine with Donald Trump riding off into the sunset in about 3 years here, because J.D. Vance is right there ready to go and pick up the baton and run with it. And I'm thrilled about that proposition. But Joe Walsh and a whole bunch of other people on the X are out there saying Team Trump is scared to death of no kings. Yeah, I'm so scared that millions and millions and millions of people are going to take to the streets and accomplish what? What exactly? I mean, what is your message? Didn't we have a No Kings Day already? And what did that one accomplish? I'm pausing for dramatic effect. Did a bunch of pasty white people get some sun? Look, I'll bite. Why would he be scared to death? Oh no, is the media going to cover it endlessly all day and what, make Trump look bad? That's never happened before. And then what? Are the Democrats in D.C. going to do anything because you guys marched in the streets again? Because the narrative for the last 2 weeks has been that the Republicans control everything and shut down the government. So what can Democrats do if they can't get the government running again? Can't have it both ways. Do you know where the Democrats were this week? Senate Democrats earlier this week attended a 2-day fundraising retreat at the luxury Hotel Yountville in Napa Valley, California. From October 13th through the 14th, the event organized by the DSCC and chaired by Senator Kristen Gillibrand includes wine tours, dinners at Staglin Family Vineyards, political briefings, and resort amenities like spa services and hot tubs. Rooms at the 5-star property typically cost about $1,000 a night, although the retreat is funded by campaign donations, not taxpayer money. All amid a government shutdown that began on October 1st over disputes on funding and health care subsidies. Look, both parties have had similar retreats during the shutdown. Republicans were at Sea Island, Georgia earlier in October. Bad look, Republicans. Shame on you, too. See, I'm not a hack. I'm not going to not shame the Republicans, too, for doing anything that looks like you haven't seen the videos and the photos of military families lined up at freaking food banks trying to get some food. Do better. Bad look, Republicans. Bad look. But yeah, have your protest. Enjoy the day. I hope the weather's nice everywhere. And that you enjoy expressing your First Amendment rights. But do inhale deeply and savor for as long as possible that protest high, because that's about as good as it's going to get. As I say, the narrative of the left in D.C. for the last 2 weeks has been, we have no power. Republicans control everything. We can't even keep the government open. We are totally powerless, and being that we are your representatives, your advocates, that's the only avenue you have to get anything changed, and we'll be at Spa Day. What can we do? Unless you all give us enough money to take back the House, and then we promise, we really swear, we really mean it this time, we're really, really going to change things, and this time, you can bank on it. You can trust us this time. We're going to make that nasty orange man pay. Why, we'll impeach him a 3rd time. That'll show him. He thought almost getting his head blown off in Pennsylvania was bad. Wait till we impeach him a 3rd time. We don't want a king? Who says we do? Find me 10 Republicans who aren't fine with J.D. Vance 2028. You know, Trump was supposed to cancel elections and suspend the Constitution last term, and he didn't do it. We asked Grok, did pundits on the left predict Trump would cancel elections during his first term, that he would suspend the Constitution, try to stay in office, refuse to leave? I know, January 6th. Lame.
Gretchen, stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, that was a heck of an insurrection, wasn't it? How long did it last? 2 or 3 hours? Yeah, real good. That was a heck of an insurrection. Best insurrection ever. The greatest insurrection that we've ever seen, and we have seen a lot of insurrections, but ours was the best. It lasted a whole 3 hours before everyone went home. Only one shot was fired. But we asked Grok, did the left predict he would cancel elections and try to be president for life, try to be a king? Here's what Grok said. Yes, several left-leaning pundits. Oh, by the way, for those of you just tuning in, on this show, Grok sounds like Kronk. Yes, several left-leaning pundits and commentators warned during Trump's first term that he might attempt to cancel or delay the 2020 election, often citing his refusal to commit to accepting results, his attacks on the mail-in voting, and potential use of crises like COVID-19 as pretexts for declaring emergencies or martial law. Michael Moore explicitly forecasted that Trump would override Congress and cancel the 2020 election. Jared Yates Sexton, a political analyst, wrote that Trump's opposition to mail-in ballots was the first step in the November presidential election being canceled, framing it as an authoritarian bid to blame democracy for his failures. Nancy Pelosi expressed concerns in a New York Times interview that Trump wouldn't leave office if defeated, potentially using litigation or fraud claims to delay or invalidate results in states like Pennsylvania. Jonathan Alter, an MSNBC analyst, tweeted that fears of Trump using a state of emergency to cancel the election were overblown because the Constitution auto-ends his term on January 20th, 2021, but implied he'd try to suspend via refusal to leave, requiring federal marshals to intervene. Well, none of that happened. Because at the end of the day, Trump didn't actually not leave the White House. He didn't barricade himself in. I watched him leave on TV. I watched him and Melania get on a helicopter. So I guess they meant all these things, not literally, but like, I don't know what, in their minds, like a fantasy?
I'm at like a beach cabana, and Brad Pitt approaches, tries to lean in and kiss me. I would definitely resist, like, at first. But if he was persistent, I might give in a little bit to just sort of see what it felt like. Would I push him away? How hard? Like, what if he's, like, really aggressive?
If you resisted Brad Pitt a little bit, he would still need to get to you?
This is not real Brad Pitt. This is, like, this is my fantasy. Or it's, like, not fantasy. It's, like, it's just a scenario.
Yeah, like that. Be right back with something that is sure to get me banned from every platform. Stick around.
It's Mark Moseley Show.
Welcome back to Mark Moseley Show. I'm Mark Moseley, and we're talking about No King's Day and the fact that the left just thinks, oh, Trump is terrified of No King's Day because we're going to really show him this time. Yeah, No King's Day last time was so effective, got so much done. I'm going to say something that is meant to be very satirical, that is meant to be darkly humorous. I'm going to be using heavy sarcasm, but it's based on the idea that to defeat liberal arguments, you first allow the premise. and then you take it out to its logical conclusion. Mark, why do you give these wacky liberal narratives any legitimacy? Well, because people who perpetuate these narratives need to be called out. They need to be mocked. They need to be shamed, because there are crazy people out there who hear these things through repetition, and they take them seriously, and then they pick up guns and go shoot people. The man who killed Charlie Kirk, did he formulate his ideas from what Charlie Kirk actually said, or by what the media, traditional and social, told him Charlie Kirk said? I mean, I think by now we've all seen about 1 billion Instagram and TikTok videos of people taking what Charlie Kirk said, showing how it was taken out of context, bringing it back into full context and saying, no, Charlie Kirk didn't say blank. This is what he said. But this kind of stuff works. And so we got to push back on it. We have to mock their narratives. All right. So let me be clear. What follows is sarcasm. What follows is dark humor. What follows is satire. It's based on the left's talking point that Trump is an authoritarian dictator and literally Hitler. This weekend, there will be protesters gathered in every major city around the country. Wouldn't this be a prime opportunity for Der Fuhrer to have a big public show of force and to crush his enemies in dramatic fashion? After all, if he's ever going to get all the way to completely controlling America, he needs to get started. This half measures crap is not going to get it done. The midterms are coming. This weekend would be a perfect chance for a supreme leader to crush the rebellion when so many of them are gathered together. Enough with the golf outings and the Truth Social posts. You're wasting valuable time here, Hitler. You are never going to accomplish any of your goals at the snail's pace that you're going. I know the left thinks you're a total authoritarian, but Hitler came to power in January of 1933. Within a month, there was the Reichstag fire. And then you're off to the races. By March, 2 months later, he had ended the German Constitution. Ended it. By May, labor unions were crushed. They didn't exist anymore. Ceased to be. By July, less than 6 months later, there was no opposition party in Germany. All of them had fled the country or been murdered. All the communists had been rounded up and either put to death or they fled. How many of Trump's political enemies right now today are in jail? Is the number still 0? Hitler had absolute power in just 18 months. Trump can't even keep a single late-night comedian off the air for more than a week. He's pathetic. He's weak. It's an insult to Hitler to compare him. Hitler is, right now, Hitler is sitting in hell going, can you believe this crap? Can you believe this crap? By the way, can we not get some decent coffee down here? Was is this? Pete's? Coffee bean and tea leaf? By the way, they only have AM radio in hell. That's what I've been told. This weekend, when all of the enemies of our savior of the fatherland and who need to be dealt with, if the Reich is to have any hope of amassing enough power to cancel the midterms, will be gathered together in large groups. Der Fuhrer should dispatch waves of drones to deal with these communists, like we did in March of 1933. Again, allow the premise, and then take it to its logical conclusion. When I come back, methinks the left doth protest too much. Is there no Starbucks?
The all-new Antifa app is here. Sure, we don't have an organized national structure, but we do have a cool new app that allows you to collect anti-fabulous perks. Now, for every fascist you dox, you'll get a free non-fat soy frappuccino. Dox 5 fascists and get a free black hoodie and black tactical pants from Black Block Boutique, where everything is 100% off the grid. And this weekend only, upload any video of you cracking a fascist head with a baton, and you'll get a free balaclava. Find these and other great punk perks in the Antifa app. Download now in the App Store and own the fascists today. And remember, a fascist is anyone you think is one.
Methinks the left doth protest too much. This week, they kicked their "we don't know who Antifa is" bit into high gear. Even Morgan Freeman got in on the act, which is actually welcome because now I have a pathetic excuse to do another impression. Freeman posted this on X. Antifa is not a real organization. Proud Boys are. Oath Keepers are. Patriot Front is. The KKK is. Heritage Foundation is. Antifa is not. Thanks for listening. Now get busy living or get busy dying. I added that last line. Actually, hang on, that is not the actor Morgan Freeman. His X profile says, oh, it's Morgan J. Freeman. He is verified. I saw the blue check and I thought, oh, that's Morgan Freeman, the actor. No, he's a film producer and not the actor. But he's pretty big on X. Wow, he's got a good following. Well, now I feel like a doofus. Never mind. Never mind. But the left has been working overtime trying to convince us that Antifa just doesn't exist. Funny that this kicked into high gear because this was also the week that the administration came out and named their billionaire financiers, some of whom have fled the country. George Soros, Neville Roy Singham, Hans-Jörg Weiss, the Tides Foundation, and the National Lawyers Guild. See, Trump's executive order designates Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization and mandates agencies to investigate, disrupt, and dismantle funding sources, including via IRS audits of tax-exempt entities. The Treasury Department is mapping networks, for example, wire transfers, with Patel and Bondi vowing prosecutions under existing laws like racketeering. The the IRS will target nonprofits for indirect funding of political violence. Legal hurdles, of course, will be an issue. Antifa's lack of structure complicates designations, and First Amendment protections shield ideology-based funding. Experts warn of overreach into broader left-wing groups. And of course, the media will be there the whole time saying that this is fascism. Meanwhile, 53% of Americans approve of the terrorist designation for Antifa. So that's a majority of Americans. The latest Rasmussen Reports National Telephone and Online Survey, 53% of likely U.S. voters approve of the executive order Trump issued a couple of weeks ago, including 39% who strongly approve, 36% disapprove of the president designating Antifa as a terrorist organization, 26% strongly disapprove, 11% are not sure. But yes, the left media has shifted into Antifa doesn't exist mode. Check this out.
There's no Antifa. This is an entirely imaginary organization. There is not an Antifa.
Like, I don't even know what Antifa is. There is no group.
It's not even like far-right groups like the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers. Compared to right-wing extremists, Antifa-linked violence is rare and limited.
It isn't an organization. It is a in many ways mythology.
It's not like the Proud Boys or the Oath Keepers, sort of defined terrorist organizations with leadership that leads violence.
It's not a highly organized movement. It's a moniker. It's not a unified group like the Proud Boys are.
Things like Antifa are things that are thought up.
It's all in this guise of going after Antifa, which is nothing. There's no organization called Antifa.
Nobody's a member of Antifa because it doesn't exist. They are just declaring into existence something that doesn't exist.
There is no Antifa organization.
That is quite a collection of gaslighting right there. Speaking of Antifa, lots of fighting going on Facebook and other social media platforms. Continuing this week, I got into it again with some folks. At one point, I said, you know what? Here's where we need some nuance on this whole narrative that Trump is just sending the National Guard out willy-nilly, and he's going to we're going to have troops on every block, every street corner in every city. And I think we need a little bit of nuance here. People are arguing that, the city of Portland, for example, that the whole city is not a war zone. Well, we know it's not. And honestly, Trump, unfortunately, has a way of speaking that is quite extemporaneous, a little too much sometimes, if you ask me. He just says stuff, and it's not nuanced, and it's not razor sharp. I mean, most politicians and most presidents have someone that writes out every word, and then they stick to that script, because if you don't, that's how you get into trouble. But Trump likes to freeball, He likes to go off script, We all know that. But Trump, I think, gives the impression with the way that he phrases things that I'm sending the National Guard to Portland and they're just going to be all over the city of Portland. And they're not. They're going to a specific location. They're there to defend ICE facilities that are being outnumbered by protesters. And if those protesters do anything to impede ICE from carrying out their jobs, if they get in ICE's way in any way, shape, or form, the law says that's a crime. So when you see videos of people kicking and screaming and falling to the ground because ICE is, quote, manhandling them, you can bet that before they uploaded the video, that the previous few seconds showed them blocking a vehicle or an entrance. When you impede a federal agent from carrying out their job, you are committing a crime. I know your free speech is being suppressed, but you're in the way. Get out of the way. Go across the street. Go do it over there. This is the nuance that you don't get. The local director of the ICE facility in Portland has said, we have 22 people here. And a lot of times, there's over 100 protesters in the vicinity of this building. So they can't arrest all of those people that are impeding ICE by themselves. They don't have the manpower. They're outnumbered. And the more violent actors out there like Antifa know it. And it's really, unfortunately, just a matter of time before somebody's going to get killed. I know Trump declared war on America about a month ago. What's the death toll so far? Is it still 0? But I'm telling you, it's a matter of time before somebody goes too far and a situation gets out of control and somebody's going to get killed. I mean, look at the incident last weekend where there was an ICE vehicle that was boxed in by 10 cars. That could have ended so very badly. By God's grace, everybody came out of that alive. You don't box in a car like that with federal agents inside. Oh my goodness, this is not playtime, kids. This is a dangerous game you're playing. And we also know that Antifa pays homeless people as pawns against ICE, which is disgusting. But that's who these people are. They're anarchists. They don't value human life. So the left has talked up this idea of a war on America so then they can turn around and strawman the argument. I did a little digging. There are other organizations out there who don't have or haven't had in the past a centralized leadership structure. This is the basis of the left's argument. Because Antifa doesn't have a centralized leadership structure, it doesn't exist. So here's a list of other organizations who don't have a centralized leadership structure. Are you ready? Anonymous, a loose collective of hackers and activists emerging from 4chan in 2008. No leaders or membership. Anyone can participate. Here's another one. Occupy Wall Street. No formal leadership structure. Black Lives Matter. Decentralized network of chapters. Earth Liberation Front. An eco-sabotage group from the 1990s. It was spun off from Earth First. No leaders or members. Individuals self-identified and acted in small cells. Are you ready? I got two more. I'm saving the best one for last. Al-Qaeda, after 9/11, shifted to a decentralized franchise model. So none of these exist. Anonymous doesn't exist. Occupy Wall Street doesn't exist. Black Lives Matter, Al-Qaeda, Earth Liberation Front. None of them exist because according to the left, you don't exist if you don't have a centralized leadership structure. Are you ready? I saved the best for last. A group, a movement, a cause, a famous organization. Believe it or not, better known around the world than BLM or Al-Qaeda. One of the most famous non-centralized organizations. Alcoholics Anonymous. Alcoholics Anonymous does not exist because they have decentralized groups with no central authority beyond shared literature. You're going to want to use that one on your friends, on your liberal friends. I'll be right back. Welcome back to Mark Moseley Show. Well, Trump did not win the Nobel Peace Prize, although Israel did give him one of their highest honors, and the woman who did win the Nobel Peace Prize dedicated her prize to Trump, which I thought was really cool. He also received the Order of the Nile in Egypt, its highest civilian honor for his peace efforts. Trump was awarded Israel's highest civilian honor, the Israeli Presidential Medal of Honor. It was presented by Israeli President Isaac Herzog, recognizing Trump's pivotal role in brokering the ceasefire agreement, securing the release of all 20 remaining Israeli hostages held by Hamas, and advancing regional peace through initiatives like the Abraham Accords. They also did send a consolation, a Cold Stone Creamery gift card for $20 to Joe Biden. Ice cream. I joke because the left has been working around the clock this week to scoop out at least a couple of big scoops of credit to Biden for the peace deal. And I'm fine with that. I mean, yeah, again, these things, just give Biden all the credit you want if it makes you feel good, because I know, and you know, and we all know that you guys value feelings over real world results. So knock yourselves out. Some leftist pundits are even claiming it's the exact same deal that Biden hammered out last year. Okay, no, that's there's no way it's the exact same deal, because the conditions changed over the last year, because Trump supported Israel continuing to pound away at Hamas and beat them into submission. They say that during the election, Trump asked Bibi to delay the peace deal until after he became president. Okay, and that's what, dumb? Bibi had to know that if Trump had his back in ways that Biden didn't. I mean, let's call it what it is. We all remember last year, the Biden administration kept trying to get Israel to stop, ceasefire. Trump would let Israel keep going in the face of international protests and all the cries of genocide and all of that crap that Biden didn't dare publicly decry. Kamala Harris didn't dare push back on because she needed the votes of all those foamy-mouthed nut jobs. I crack myself up sometimes. We've all seen the memes showing Biden got over 100 hostages released and Trump only got 20-something hostages released. Oh, okay. That's stupid. Biden got over 100 hostages released. I'm thrilled about that, by the way. Good job, Biden administration. But it's a logical fallacy to knock Trump for his numbers because that's all that was left. Yes, Biden got 100 people left and there were only 20-something left. But what was Trump supposed to do? Encourage Hamas to take more hostages so he could post up some bigger numbers than Biden? Oh, my goodness, you guys make a lot of stupid arguments. My opinion, I think a lot of people on the left are mad because Trump's deal is more favorable now to Israel. I think they're big mad because this didn't end with Israel on the bottom and Hamas on top. They're mad because it didn't force a so-called two-state solution. And you could poll Palestinians. They don't want a two-state solution. They want it all. Well, now you're going to get what you get and you're going to like it. You know why? Because to the victor go the spoils. That's how humanity has always worked. Going all the way back to when the Israelites first took Canaan 3,400 years ago. And I know the land has changed hands a lot, and it's been conquered a lot, and it's been occupied by variety and mixtures of people for thousands of years. But guess what? Now it's the nation of Israel, and the dominant people that control it are the Jews. You want it? Come and take it. That's how humanity rolls. That's how humanity has always rolled and likely will always roll. Muslims invaded Italy and dominated Sicily for what? A couple of 100 years? And they got kicked out. That's how it goes. Suck it up, Buttercup. You want to live in that area? Guess what? The Jews own everything. So play nice. Because they got a badass military. And we got their back. Speaking of Trump and the Jews, we love the Babylon Bee. And they had this one this week, which you know what? I'm patting myself on the back. It pulls from this comedy well that I've been going to a lot lately, this idea that Hitler loves the Jews. Here's the headline: Hitler brings peace to Israel. In a stunning development that experts said could change the course of geopolitics for the foreseeable future, Hitler announced a historic agreement that would bring lasting peace to Israel. While historians were shocked to see that the man who was long thought to be the epitome of hatred towards the Jewish people had successfully brokered a peace treaty to usher in peace for the war-torn region of the Middle East, they had no choice but to acknowledge the positive impact Hitler was now having on Israel's fortunes. Saving and protecting Jewish people is what Hitler is all about, said one historian following the announcement of the ceasefire. We all hoped there would someday be peace between Israel and all of its neighboring Arab countries, but I've got to admit, I never would have predicted that it would be Hitler who pulled it off. Well done, Hitler. You really came through for the Jews on this one. Members of the media and the public at large could hardly believe that Hitler had pulled off such a surprising peace treaty to safeguard the Jewish people. It just goes to show that sometimes it's the guys you least expect, said one reporter following Hitler's announcement in the White House. For the last decade, all we've heard about this guy is that he's literally Hitler and how he was going to plunge the world into war and destruction like the first Hitler did almost a century ago. But you know what? I've got to hand it to Hitler on this one. At publishing time, the Jewish people issued a statement of gratitude to Hitler for playing a key role in their survival. See? You allow the premise, and take it to its logical conclusion. And of course, Trump being a narcissist, and I'm not being sarcastic now, just so we're clear, Trump is a narcissist. Actually, he's probably not, because I think he probably is not filled with self-loathing. I think he likes himself, and psychologists say if you love yourself, you're actually not a narcissist. It's people that have self-loathing that are narcissists. Anyway, I digress. Trump thinks he should have gotten the Nobel Peace Prize. He didn't get it. And of course, he would think that he deserves a Nobel Peace Prize. I've interacted with quite a few people on X about this process and the peace plan. John Cleese retweeted something from Anonymous, of all people, who we were talking about earlier. The Gaza peace deal was the same deal offered to Netanyahu in the U.S. repeatedly, but it was turned down by Israel because they wanted to give Trump a perceived victory at the expense of Israel hostages and Gaza population. John Cleese wrote, "This is extraordinarily important, and if true, evidence of treason." To which I replied, maybe the deal Biden offered was akin to buying a bird that wasn't as alive as one would want. I'm sure he'll never see that, but I had fun with it. For the kids out there, that's a reference to the dead parrot sketch from Monty Python, of which John Cleese, of course. But you know what? If you have to explain it, it's just not worth it. I'll just enjoy that one, and maybe a couple of you. So yeah, Trump thinks he should have gotten the Nobel, but he didn't. So we have a list here of the top 7 perks that I think would be nice consolation prizes for the President of the United States. Here we go, top 7. Number 7, Trump gets an arch card preloaded with enough points to eat a Big Mac a day all the way through President Vance's second term. Number 6, when Trump gets back from the South, Chuck Schumer has to, by hand, scrub all the mating love bugs off the nose cone of Air Force One. Number 5, Jasmine Crockett has to talk in her actual, normal voice for an entire day. Number 4, Trump gets 1 million lifetime mulligans. Good at any time at any golf course in the world. Number 3, finally awarded a long overdue Emmy for that genius guest spot on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Number 2, Secretary General of the UN must give a speech in which he admits that the United Nations is in reality about as useful as a solar-powered flashlight. The speech must contain those exact words. And number 1, Joe Biden has to be filmed willingly putting on a MAGA hat. Oh wait, that one already happened. I forgot. Hey, it's Mark Moseley, and welcome back to the show. It's time for some good news. Yes, so much darkness and so much negativity in the world and on this podcast. It's time for a palate cleanser. It's time for some good news. We love the good news on this show. Meet Everly, a whip-smart 10-year-old from Houston, Texas, who is now being called a mini first responder after pulling off a miracle move during a viral TikTok candy challenge gone horribly wrong. I'm going to tell you what the challenge is. Parents, please do not let your kids do these things. Last week, her 6-year-old brother, Jax, decided to join the latest craze on TikTok, the Cinnamon Challenge, where kids try to swallow a spoonful of cinnamon without water. Again, terrible idea, parents. Please, just watch what your kids are doing. Midway through, Jax started choking hard, his face turning blue as the spice clogged his throat, and Sister Everly, watching from the next room, sprang into action like she'd been training for this moment her whole life. Without missing a beat, she grabbed her little bro, flipped him into the Heimlich position. Turns out she had just learned it from a school assembly a couple of months ago, and delivered 5 solid abdominal thrusts until a cinnamon cloud erupted. and Jax could gasp for air again. The whole thing wound up being caught on their family's Ring doorbell camera, which mom Lisa uploaded to social media to warn other parents. And it exploded overnight, over 2 million views. Jax, the little brother, bounced back. From now on, he says, I'll stick to gummy bears. And Everly wound up with a hero's parade. Her school heard about it through an assembly in her honor. The local fire department came by with badges and a tour of the fire station. And even the Houston Texans NFL team sent a swag bag after hearing about it, including a signed jersey. Mom told ABC News, I was at work and I was helpless on the phone, but Everly, she didn't hesitate. She's teaching me what bravery really looks like. Everly's humble shrug, she said, quote, I just didn't want Jax to be sad forever. And now let's pivot from smart to stupid. It's time for our doofus of the week to close out the show.
You're a big, stupid doofus.
No, you are.
No, you.
No, you. Meet Deshaun Bowman. Deshaun had a pretty good master criminal run over about a 3-month period in Virginia with a string of late-night burglaries at closed convenience stores and gas stations. What Deshaun would do is he would smash a window, get inside, and rifle through the cash registers and the safes. And over about 3 months, he made off, really did well for himself, made off with about $18,000 in cash, gift cards, and whatever else wasn't bolted down. Sounds like a semi-pro, right? Until you learn that after just about every burglary, Deshaun would almost always head to a nearby open convenience store and use his ATM card, creating a paper trail of his movements and locations by buying celebratory snacks. Okay, so at some point, Deshaun did get on the police's radar as a possible suspect. Once they pulled his banking data and his phone data, they noticed that Deshaun happened to be at an ATM nearby on the exact date and time of all the burglaries. He's now looking at 14 felony counts of burglary and theft. If only he'd used the stolen cash to pick up that bag of Flamin' Hot Cheetos. Or next time, ask a friend to Venmo you a getaway Slurpee. Well, that's the show. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow me on social media at Mark Moseley on all platforms, X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You can listen to this show on YouTube, on iHeart, on Spreaker, on Spotify, and really just about on Deezer, just about anywhere that you listen to podcasts. Thanks for listening. Until next time, may God bless you with health, joy, and wisdom.